And in his 10 years as CEO, he has led VHB through a period of growth, geographic expansion, and technological advancement. He is a heavily seasoned and experienced leader that emphasizes sustainability and equity, not just as a mindset, but something that you should see through every phase of every project. I'm so glad that he's able to join us today to share more about VHB, how to be a great leader, and most importantly, how to plan today to create a more sustainable future. Please join me in welcoming Mike to the stage.
First off, this is amazing. I'll tell you, I can't thank you guys enough for the opportunity to be here today. To just, I'll tell you, I've been soaking in. I've enjoyed talking to so many of you today, enjoying the projects in the back, listening to the questions that you've asked in some of the breakout sessions, and it gives me unbelievable, not hope, but confidence for our nation and our world, with people like you just grabbing on to engineering, to the impact it has. And I just, Victoria, you thanked me and welcomed me up here today. I can't thank you enough. And Jenna for reaching out and inviting me here today. So, this is, first off, Saturday afternoon. It's got a little warmer, and I appreciate everybody's attempt at professional attire. I think it's time to take the jackets off, okay? I don't know about you guys, but I'm starting to sweat. So, all right. Good, take a second. You can stand up, take your jackets off. Take a sweater off. Jeez, man. I wouldn't be able to handle that. So, I really want to thank Engineers Without Borders and University of Delaware for bringing together this incredible group of people who are so curious, so interested, so thoughtful, that are already ready to be problem solvers, innovators, change makers. I was going to start with a story, but after spending time in the back looking at bigger projects, I don't need to create a story. If you've looked at these projects, and this idea of whether it's water filtration systems, whether it's a local school here, just trying to help move the school forward and make it a little more effective for the community, whether it's electrification, whether it's an overall water sanitation system or freshwater system. It's incredible. And you go deeper and you look, not just read through it, I've read through every one of them. They're fascinating. And I just marvel at what you're accomplishing. But you look at the pictures, and I love the fact that the pictures on each table here. Let's take a look at them. What you did on those projects, what you've done on all of your projects, whether they're domestic or international, you are making people's lives better. You can see it in their faces. You can see it in smiles. And that's really what's so great about engineering. That's what happens when your technical skills meet human purpose. And every one of you in this room already, it's not just about calculations or codes or algorithms or CAD drawings. It's about people. It's about possibility. And what I want to do today is talk to you about what you do as engineers, what you've already done, and more importantly, what you will do as you go on, matters more than ever to our local communities, to our nation, and to the world. So let's zoom out a little bit, step back for a minute. We're living in one of the most complex, challenging, and opportunity-filled times in human history. Climate is changing, infrastructure is aging, population is growing and moving to cities faster than ever around the world. Nearly 2 billion people still lack reliable access to clean water or electricity. That's not just a list of problems. For this group, that's a map of opportunities. Opportunities for engineers, planners, scientists, people from all different majors to really think about how we can design smarter systems. We can create clean energy, more accessible. We can rebuild communities after disasters and make them stronger than they were before. And everybody likes to kind of talk about technology and where it's going. Here's the thing. Technology doesn't necessarily change the world. The people who use technology to solve and to think about the human condition, they're the people who solve human problems with technology. And that's where you come in. Your work at EWB is unique because it begins where real engineering must always begin, by listening. You don't start with solutions, right? You start with the stories that you hear. You don't impose, you collaborate. You learn as much from the people that you're serving as they do from you. That mindset, empathy, before engineering, that's what the world needs more of. An awful lot more of. And the work you do here on the Delaware campus or all the campuses that we saw in the early slide today embodies what it means to use engineering as a force of good. You know that. And the EWB mission, it resonates really deeply with me. This idea of advancing community-driven development that creates sustainable, resilient, and equitable future. In fact, it's actually in alignment with what we at VHB think about every day. Our own mission is inspiring our people and partnering with our clients and communities to create a more sustainable future. And that's why we're all here today, right? All of us in this room, to explore paths to possibilities. How each of us can apply our technical expertise, leadership, and most importantly, passion to shape a better world. I know when I was in engineering, the idea of being passionate about what you did was not something you talked about. I don't know if that's true or not anymore, but talking to so many of you and hearing your passion just come out, keep that passion burning. It's really important to everything you do. Friends, let's talk about what sets great engineers apart. Right? It's not technical mastery. Yeah, I get ahead of myself. I don't even really track the slides. So sometimes we technical. But it's not technical mastery. It's four main things. This idea of curiosity and empathy. The best engineers, they don't rush to solve. They seek to understand. They ask, why is this happening? Well, who's affected? What does better need to look like? Every bridge, every device, every water system begins with listening. Then there's systems engineering. You already know that every design has a context, right? Physical, social, environmental. And real problems don't come in a nice, tidy box. Sometimes you need the duct tape, so don't forget that. But real problems, they cross disciplines, borders, values. And the great engineers, the really great engineers, the ones who leave a legacy, are those who step back and see the whole picture. Third, resiliency and creativity. Every innovation you admire started as an impossible challenge to somebody. The difference between success and failure often comes down to the stubborn optimism, that belief that there's got to be a way, even if it hasn't been found yet. And then the fourth, around integrity and humanity. Engineering isn't just about what can be done. It's about what should be done. Every decision you make, regarding materials, choice, algorithm, design, whatever, it affects lives. And you need to remember that. When you take that seriously, and you hold yourself to that standard, you'll earn the trust that makes real progress possible. Now, while these concepts likely guide your approach as you move into the engineering, the way you go about playing out the engineering and the related elements that are in the room today, that'll be different. It'll be unique for all of you. What I was going to do today is just tell you a little about how this kid from Philly first won an extended family to go to college. I can tell you how I did it. And again, I think the stories that you hear from many people will help you see all the past possibility that you have for your careers. So I started out, my dad was a surveyor for the Philadelphia Streets Department. And as a kid, I'd love to ride around on the weekend and kind of take a look at the jobs he was working on, tell me about them. You know, and the more I thought about this, like, wow, the stuff he's doing, it's impacting our neighborhood. It's impacting a different part of the city. Or I see a project he's working on, you know, on a TV report. And it really kind of made me think, wow, this idea of you could work on things that impact your community, impact your city, you know, I want to do that. And that's the inspiration that led me, actually, right here, to the University of Delaware. I'll tell you, it was where I studied civil engineering. And like so many of you who are here from Delaware, it was an incredible place. And UD gave me technical skills that was really important, but that's foundational. It gave me, and I'm sure your schools, as you're going through this, it's giving you the confidence to do really hard things. Things that probably a few years ago you couldn't think you would have been able to work your way through. And now as you look at the projects that you're doing at EWB, you realize you really can do hard, challenging things. And those things matter a lot. And that can fuel that ongoing passion of what you do. Now for me, I graduated, first few years, moved to Philadelphia, worked with a consulting engineering firm. We were rehabilitating I-76, the Schuylkill Expressway, through Philadelphia. And then after a few years, had an opportunity to move to Boston for a project. I had no idea how I was going to not just change my career, but change my whole way of thinking. I started out working on a job, like, wow, this is a really big job. This is going to be pretty cool. This is a major infrastructure project, significant environmental challenges. But I didn't realize, in the end, it was going to turn out to be what's called now the big dig. If you Google it, you go back and look up. Mid-'80s, Boston was nothing like you see now. Boston's a thriving city. Boston is a great downtown. Boston used to be clogged with traffic, heavily air pollution. You know, it was a rough area. People were leaving Boston in droves. This project that I thought was just a big series of technical challenges wasn't. It was really to kind of remove this hulking viaduct that went right through the middle of the city, put that underground, build a tunnel, another tunnel to the airport, open up a whole new part of the city, reduce congestion, reduce pollution, create a new linear park that people today, see, I'm so excited talking, I'm not even paying attention to myself. That was really, graduation here was a fun day. But this is what downtown Boston looked like, okay? And this idea of how do we take it and put it underground? And what I realized was we were recreating a city. We weren't just fixing infrastructure. And as I finished this project, and you saw these new neighborhoods, or not new neighborhoods, you saw neighborhoods connected that were never connected before. You found a whole new part of the city, this Boston Seaport District, become this economically vibrant place to be. New neighborhoods, a much better place to walk. They said this urban park that was on the route of the viaduct that cut through the city, bringing everybody back. It was what turned Boston around to be a really thriving place. And when I started to realize, about 5-10 years later, after we finished this, was what I and my colleagues did, it mattered. What we planned and engineered and saw built, it told me that it wasn't just about solving technical challenges. It really was about helping your neighbors, helping your community, helping society, bringing people together, listening, taking their ideas into account and helping build community as you did the infrastructure project. And these are the experiences that really led me to realize that at our core, engineers, planners, scientists, designers, all the technical experts, we're community builders. We're city builders. We're future builders. Every plan, every bridge, every system we create has one purpose: to improve people's lives. That's why I still get as passionate as I get older, passionate than you. Because you realize that's what we're doing. So let me share how this plays out in a few projects that me and my colleagues at VHB get to work on today. Just give you a glimpse of a path you may take. So, VHB, we're in the eastern US. We're one of the larger engineering companies. And you can see our mission is really similar to EWB's. Then inspiring our people and clients and partnering with our clients and communities to create a more sustainable future. And what we do transportation planning and engineering, we do land development, planning, design, energy solutions, and environmental. But what we really do, right? We do it for different agencies, we do it for different types of clients, we do it at National Park Services, we do it at urban development, we do a lot of transit systems, highway bridges, but my colleagues will tell you a little about what this really feels like.
What if we could create a better, more sustainable world? A floating solar farm could power our homes and businesses. A road could charge electric vehicles while they drive. An electric flying vehicle could transport us. Artificial intelligence could power renewable energy storage. What if we told you this world is emerging all around us? At VHB, we are inspiring our people and partnering with our clients and communities to create a sustainable future. We are protecting and preserving natural and cultural resources, elevating equity in the built environment, and embracing the clean energy revolution for a brighter, more resilient tomorrow. A tomorrow where smart city technology helps solve public problems and improve quality of life, obsolete buildings are transformed into vibrant destinations, renewable energy powers a net zero world, and coastal communities are safe from the impacts of climate change. At VHB, our people-focused culture fosters collaboration to spur creativity, curiosity to deliver technical excellence, inclusion and belonging to cultivate community, and learning and development opportunities for personal and professional growth. We are solving the most complex and connected energy, environmental, community, and mobility challenges, and creating a sustainable future. We are VHB.
I couldn't be more proud of my colleagues. And over the years, we've really kind of honed in and focused on this idea that every project starts out as a real opportunity. With that opportunity becoming really a responsibility to look through three lenses. This idea of sustainability, resilience, and equity. And when you get a chance to really use those together as the beginning conversational elements of a project, it really can make a difference on what it is that you go about doing to solve them, who you engage in the conversation. That idea of not just jumping into what we're going to design and build, but what should we really do here? So let me just kind of give you an example of types of projects that you might get to work on as you go forward. And all of these are the result of people working together. And that's one of the great things that I've seen in all my conversations, working with the UD chapter, getting ready today. The whole idea of collaboration is really important, and you need that. You need way more than just engineering to really solve these challenges. So I want to talk a little bit about projects around sustainability, resilience, and equity, and how we weave them in. First, up in the Rockaways in Queens, in New York, this idea of this whole new development that's really looking at revitalizing 116 acres on the Rockaway Peninsula into a dynamic, mixed-use community, prioritizing health, economic diversity, and climate resilience. But I want the PM to tell you about it. David's, this guy is amazing, and he's just wonderful.
The RNE's project was needed as it was conceived a couple of decades ago, when this part of the Rockaways was seeing a lot of just disinvestment, and there was a lot of vacant city-owned land. And so a long time ago, when I was part of the city's Department of Housing, there was a request for a proposal to take this vacant property in the middle of the Rockaways along the ocean in Queens and try to create investment in the neighborhood and in the community that's there. And so as a result of the Great Recession and then 3 years later, Superstorm Sandy, which devastated the Rockaways and other parts of New York City, the project paused for many, many years. So just before I joined VHB, the city and the developers who've been designated for the site took a renewed interest in what the original vision was, which was really to create a mixed income community with a lot of affordable apartments, as well as retail, hotel, new streets, new public amenities, all near this subway station that does lead into the central business districts all around Manhattan, albeit it's far away. And so, following Superstorm Sandy and all that we learned and the city's learned about resiliency, there was a renewed interest in conceiving the original goals of the project around that mixed income community, but doing it in a resilient way and doing it in a way that was more forward-thinking. And one of the things that the development team is focused and committed to doing is creating a net zero community, meaning that the community will not use more energy that is actually created on site, which would actually be the first net zero community in New York City. So like other large-scale projects in New York City and around the region, this is a multi-phase project that will happen over many years, likely 10 years or even longer. The nature reserve is the first piece of the project to be open to the public. When Arbor East is completed, it is going to be an incredible place, in my opinion, because it will bring much needed affordable housing to people of different income levels and different walks of life, to the Rockaways, to the people of the Rockaways, and people who want to move to the Rockaways. It will also bring much needed economic activity, and it will also bring a forward-thinking, resilient way of doing development, and hopefully a way that could be in some ways replicated in other parts of the region which are so sensitive to climate change.
So again, just a project that thinks, how do you weave all those elements together? Another one that we're doing, down in DC is the Children's National Health System, and their transformation is really a 12-acre of the former Walter Reed Army Medical Center into a pioneering research and innovative campus that preserves the site's historic legacy while advancing medical research and pediatric care in the Washington, D.C. area. Through adaptive reuse of the historic buildings, including addition of ADA accessible pediatric clinic and integrated sustainable infrastructure such as solar panels and advanced stormwater management elements, the campus combines social impact with environmental stewardship. It also serves as an economic catalyst for the area, hosting partnerships with leading universities and companies. Another one is up in Boston. Sorry to my BU friends I made this morning. This is right near BU, but not at BU. And this is the Climate Justice Action Plan that we're working on. It's a collaborative, community-centered initiative designed to guide the university towards carbon neutrality across all its campuses, with strategic focus on energy, transportation, climate resilience, and leveraging academic strength for social impact. This is really rooted in a climate justice and equity framework that's using a planning process that systematically evaluates social, environmental, economic justice implications to ensure inclusive and equitable outcomes as we go forward. So, from the Resilience Project perspective, projects with real focus here, Patchtaw, which is out on Long Island, again, another really fascinating project that's looking at how do you kind of create a living shoreline. Well, let the community leaders and our team tell you about what happened here. This is really one of those projects you're just so excited and proud about as you work on it and as you go through it.
Younger communities want places. They want to be in a place. They don't just want to have a place to live. They want to have a place to recreate and a place to be part of. The village of Carragher is 2.2 square miles. It's an incorporated village, but also we're a waterfront. We have 30 acres of parkland. Preservation of your parkland is meaning that sometimes you have to change what it is. You got to do things differently.
I think it was in 2015 or so, we started looking at how we might improve Shorefront Park. And part of that was to address the bulkheading and the park and just do park improvements.
The impetus of the project was really the increasing storm intensities, the frequent storms, the moderate to high wave energy of the site, that was really impacting the timber bulkhead and the shoreline.
From the second we set foot on site and we saw the deteriorated bulkhead, the scouring, the erosion behind the bulkhead, we knew immediately that goal number one was going to be to replace that bulkhead with a resilient and a productive natural shoreline.
A living shoreline in this case consists of a rock sill as a hardened structure and a salt marsh, that's the landward of the rock sill. The rock sill is actually partially in the water, partially on land. And the function of the rock sill is really meant to attenuate the wave energy and stop the shoreline recession from happening. And the salt marsh there is really meant to have a hybrid approach, an ecological approach, where you're stabilizing sand sediments with native species, you're creating biodiversity, you're allowing those sediments to settle in, and it's actually a more sustainable and resilient solution to climate change and coastal resiliency.
A hard shoreline is a dead shoreline. There's nothing to eat and there's nowhere to hide. So there's nothing to support either fish or sort of other waterfront critters in this kind of an atmosphere, right? Whereas a living shoreline, and by extension the bioswale that we have behind the living shoreline, provides nooks and crannies to hide in. It has tremendous numbers of food sources. It's a great place to spawn. It provides access to a terrestrial landscape. And all of these features really can support, and actually are already supporting, a host of fish, invertebrates, reptiles, small mammals, birds, and insects. So it's a really rich and productive landscape.
This project is the largest permanent living shoreline in New York State.
The living shoreline, and just, again, really starting to rethink about it, and the shorelines up and down all of our communities, and we've been impacted and continue to be impacted by the increasing intensity of these storms, is really a big issue. And communities are now investing in that. And we're working also down in Virginia along the York River throughout the 23-mile Colonial National Historic Park. The parkway goes between Jamestown, Williamsburg, and and Yorktown. And it's actually National Historic Register of Historic Places. And so what we're doing is kind of helping bring that living shoreline to all the places along that parkway to protect that as we go into the future. So then there's some other projects. This is again in New York City, where New York City's most comprehensive zoning overhaul is really, we've just kind of completed this, working with the city. It's the first time they've changed the zoning codes in New York City since 1961. And this comprehensive update to zoning regulations, supported by our kind of environmental scientists, strategic planning team, is expected to pave the way for more than 80,000 new housing units, providing greater access to affordable homes while promoting equity and sustainability across all 5 boroughs. So again, these projects, this idea of looking at every project with the opportunity around sustainability, improving resiliency, and taking equity into account, changes the way you go about addressing the challenges. And it creates a much more integrated bond, not just with a client, but the communities that you're working for. And this idea of really embedding those principles of sustainability, resiliency, and equity, it's not easy, right? In addition to the foundational requirements of the technical excellence you've got to bring to this, it requires collaboration across disciplines. It means a lot of listening, really deep listening skills, and then communication skills to draw out from the people that you're working with to really understand at a deep level. And being able to engage not just your colleagues, but the members of the communities early and often throughout the whole project. And this is where engineering leadership comes in. As you gain that foundation of the technical expertise, but you start layering on all of these elements to be able to lead your team in a really positive way. Because it's never just about that technical design. It is about how you listen, how you include, and how you're always thinking about a future-focused decision, not just getting something done today. True success isn't measured when you're cutting a ribbon or you're celebrating the opening. It's really measured decades later when you can look back on it and you see that it's still improving lives by what you put into it because of the forethought. Now, completing projects ethically means aligning solutions with community needs, long-term durability, and environmental balance. Every project, large or small, is a chance, an opportunity to lead with integrity and care. It's important you're always balancing. So right now, I know your days are filled with equations, project deadlines, going to EWB conferences, planning for 6 months for EWB conference. You've got a lot of things going on. And you're head down, and you're probably starting to think, okay, what's going on? Am I really ready to change the world? You are. Everything you're learning, every class you take, every project that you struggle through, both in the classroom or with EWB, the work and conversations that you're building here, the relationships you're building here, that's all the training for the kind of problem solving the world urgently needs. Now, your EWB work, as I've been saying throughout this whole thing, that's not that's not extracurricular. What is the problem with that word? Extracurricular. That's really foundational, right? You're learning how to listen across cultures, how to adapt, how to lead. These are the exact skills that turn technical knowledge into human progress. Now, when you graduate, your paths will be a myriad of ways. You might go to work for a consulting firm like I'm talking about here, might be a startup, might be a public agency, might be a nonprofit, it might be a lab. But it doesn't matter. Wherever you go, remember this. You're designing the future. Not just for us, but for future generations. When you plan a city's transportation system, you're shaping opportunity for people. When you develop renewable energy, you're shaping the planet's resilience. When you're innovating materials, you're shaping elements of sustainability. And along the way, the question you keep asking yourself isn't, can I do this? Can I build it? But go back to what I mentioned. It's, should we do this? Should we build this? You know, the next generation of engineering technologies, I know that's a big conversation right now. And we're entering a really interesting and unique period of time. The next 10 years are really going to be what define the next 100. How we rebuild our cities, how we manage energy and water, how we balance innovation with ethical considerations, how we design for inclusion, equity, and resilience. Every one of those challenges needs the skills and the heart of engineers like you. So here's my challenge to you. Keep doing what you're doing, but raise your sights higher. What you're already accomplishing is at a really amazing level. Don't be afraid to take on bigger challenges. Don't be daunted by the scale of the challenge or, oh my gosh, I don't know how to figure this out. Raise your heights. Raise your own expectations of what you, but even more importantly, with collaborating with your colleagues you can do. Keep asking the really hard questions. And keep building teams that cross boundaries, whether it's across ethnicities, genders, communities. Keep finding joy. The joy that I've heard in so many of your voices today, it's infectious. It makes me want to go back and start all over and do this again. It's an incredible career. Keep finding that joy in solving really tough problems that matter. Be the engineer who listens, the engineer who cares, the engineer who leaves things always better than you found it. Now, each of you in this room is a shaper of our built environment. You already are in what you're undertaking. But you're also a steward of our future. But you recognize that. I can feel it in you, just by the EWB efforts you've made. This world really needs you. It needs your curiosity. It needs your leadership, compassion, as much as it needs your technical skills. It's vitally important that you never cease rounding out your technical skills balanced with the people skills. because this really is about people. The importance of the collaboration, the empathy, the communication skills are critical for forging partnerships that advance projects, communities, the nation, and our world. You have the power, whether you realize it or not yet. You have the ability, you have the power to build that possibility for your community, for the nation, and all the generations that will follow you. Remember, every decision you make along the way, every plan, every drawing, every partnership, can be a step, if you consciously think about it, can be a step towards a more resilient, sustainable, and equitable world. Together, that's our shared path to possibility. But even more importantly, I can't wait to see where you take us. Best of luck. I'm so excited for you, and I wish you all the best in all you do. Go forward and do great things, gang. You're already off to a hell of a start.